Welcome back to Fresh Picks. I'm Joel Escola, and today we're going to be talking about the return of Up All Night with Rhonda Shear, exclusively on Kings of Horror.
All night.
From Spaceballs to Assault of the Party Nerds 2, and from Playboy to Full House, and from stand-up comedian to intimate wear entrepreneur, captivating a generation of late-night cult movie fans, we'd like to welcome the lovely, the beautiful, the hilarious Rhonda Shear with us. How are you, Rhonda? How you doing?
I'm great, Joe. Tomorrow's our first shoot, our very first shoot of our premiere all night. And it will be airing October 25th on Kings of Horror on YouTube. So I'm very excited about it.
I was so excited. So my buddy Pat, who is part of Kings of Horror, had reached out to me and was like, "Hey, dude, Rhonda Shear's coming back with Up All Night. Do you want to interview her for it?" I'm like, "Yes, 110%." I was like, "We grew up with Rhonda. We're big USA kids here with all the horror stuff.
Yes.
After school specials, 3 p.m. horror movies, and of course all the Up All Night stuff." So
That is so cool. And it reminds me much of that because I started in 91. The show started in 89 with Gilbert and a gal named Caroline Schlitt. Then they recast. I don't know why, but I ended up going
I'm
out
gonna
for
ask
the
you about
job.
that.
I went out for the job and they said they wanted sexy. And I didn't know that much about the show, but I just went into the audition really over the top because I got so tired of hearing that I was too sexy for this and too this for that, that I'm like, okay, they want sexy. I'm giving them sexy.
Is that bonkers? That you're too sexy for this. You can't do that. Whoever said that? Well, they said it to you, but that's insane to
They
me.
said it. I mean, I got a lot of weird things when I first got out to LA. It was before the Me Too movement. Now, if you look at castings, they really can't be specific.
Sure.
But back then, if they would say, "I want a ditzy blonde" or "I want like a chubby brunette,"
Sure.
but they can't put that in there now.
Mhm.
They can kind of insinuate, but they can't say it. But back then, they were very specific. And believe me, I casting directors tell me, "Oh no, you're never going to be a lead because you stand out too much or." You're too ethnic back then. Now it's cool to be ethnic, but I had a little bit of a different nose and dark hair.
Yeah.
So she's like, "You need a nose job." I'm like, "But I won Miss Louisiana with this." And my nose really wasn't that different. It was just had a little bit it was a little higher
Sure.
right there. So anyway, I did it. I mean, and it was also the era of boobs.
Yeah.
So I had those from my mother, but now everybody's like completely flat. So
Well,
I'm bringing boobs back too.
Bringing boobs back, but the butts aren't bad. I gotta say.
The butts are there. See, when I was in LA, no one wanted the big butts. They wanted big boobs and no butt.
Wow.
So that was that era, pre-Kardashian.
Yeah.
So now it's completely different. So all the girls are taking out their fake boobs and putting in fake
And
butts.
putting the boobs in their butts.
I would
Got it.
not. I know, no, because when I was Miss Louisiana and I went out for the pageant, I remember like I would do this fast turn because I didn't want to. I had a very ample butt. As you get older, they kind of everything falls a little bit. So I'm playing into my age. I'm not trying to fight my age. I love the age I'm at. I'm just going to surround myself with hot, gorgeous men and women.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, you still look incredible. So
Thank you. But I did that even on the show. I was like, I'm in the intimate apparel business is like what I've been doing for the last 20 years as we manufacture and design, and RhondaShear.com is that. RhondaShearUpAllNight.com is all things horror and Up All Night and merchandise and everything. But I love helping women, and especially when it comes to looking great, but also young actresses and actors that are trying to get on camera and get their feet wet. Comics, stand-up comics. I've always been into that. So definitely, I'm excited about showcasing a lot of actors and actresses from all over.
That's so excellent. I think that's fantastic. So you're talking about beauty pageants and winning, Miss Louisiana and stuff like that. So I want to jump back real quick. So your career is super colorful, but you started in the New Orleans pageant scene.
I did.
And you won like several different pageants doing,
I did. I became addicted to it. My mother loved them too. She wasn't a pageant mother. It was like whatever I wanted, but I kind of just wanted the experience to, I was a dancer and I wanted to be a choreographer back then. So there was a big dance pageant. It was about not like ballroom dancing, but like ballet and all that classical dance. And I wanted to enter Miss Dance of America. And so I had never been in a pageant. So I just wanted the experience to even how to walk on a stage or much less dance on a stage. And then I started winning all these little local pageants, and then that led to Miss Louisiana. Then I won a second Miss Louisiana of another. There's different pageant systems. Like there's the Miss America, Miss USA, Miss Universe, Miss World. So I won three of those. It was very cool. And then you do kind of become addicted. And then when I moved to LA, I'm going to do you the quick version. I'm not going
Yeah.
to tell you the whole story of me getting there. But when I moved to LA, it's like I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any family in the industry or anything. So I went back and entered pageants. I've been done with pageants for years, but then I started winning pageants. I won Miss Hollywood, Miss Los Angeles Press Club. I was winning Miss Torrance that was leading to the Miss America pageant. And then I went on the $1.98 beauty show, which was a Chuck Barris show back then. And then the pageant, it was the week before the finals. I was winning it. Miss Torrance would have led to the Miss Florida, which would have led to Miss America, which my parents wanted me to win so badly. Yeah, so the $1.98 beauty show was a parody on pageants, and they would have like crazy contestants, but I legit did like a little routine and I won. Sometimes they'd pick like the worst person, or they would, the judges, or sometimes they actually picked the deserving one. That time I believe I was a deserving one. I won. But anyway, the Miss Torrance pageant saw it the week before and they're like, you were making fun of the Miss America system. We cannot have you as so basically they pushed me down to first place to first runner up. Oh, that was my dog. She snorts.
Oh, that's okay.
It wasn't me.
Sure, it wasn't. No.
Her butt right is no, it actually came out of her mouth. She's a snorter.
Did that? So how did where did the acting come from? How did that segue into that? Was that something you always wanted to do? Did that come from the pageant stuff?
Well, I was a real mom and daddy's girl. And grew up in New Orleans, and I really never thought I was going to leave New Orleans. So I majored in broadcasting and journalism and communications. So I thought I was going to end up as a broadcaster, which is funny because I love interviewing. I love doing what you're doing. I had a podcast. I'm going to start it again. Never really got it out there. Um, did talk shows all during the 90s. So I love that. And I'm curious. So I love, meeting and talking to people. So I thought I'd end up in broadcasting or as a newscaster. And then I started doing a lot of local productions and college plays and high school plays. And then bug kind of bit me. Then when I was Miss Louisiana, they sent me to LA to do something for the Miss USA system. I had to do some modeling for a jewelry company. And when I went out there, the publicist that handled the jewelry company, his wife was the casting director for Happy Days. And when I was in town, they were very kind to me. I was very young and they were taking me around. And I had dinner with them one night and it's the wife Pats, she said, we have an audition this week for Happy Days. It's our Christmas special. And I think you'd be perfect for it. I'm like, I was there for something else, It could have been like one of those. It was not one of those stories, but it was kind of. But anyway, I got to audition, and Henry Winkler was there, and Anson Williams. And usually they never have the stars. I don't. Maybe because it was a special. I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. But they were in there, and I was like, you can imagine. You're 19. The show was a hit show, and I'm like, oh my god. I didn't get it. I did not get the role. I heard them actually say, because I was like listening against the wall. It was like these trailers, and you could. I was naughty. I was listening. So anyway, very curious girl. And they're like, oh, she's really good, a little unexperienced, but mate, we'll have her back in. Well, I wasn't living there. So I literally, it was in my mind to get back there. My parents said, nope, not until you finish college. So that's a few more years. And then by the time I got back there, it was on its a couple of last seasons.
Fonzie was jumping the shark. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. But I ended up getting several Happy Days and, all those shows from that era, like Full House
Yeah.
and Married with Children and Three's Company. So I was really, I always loved comedy because I used it as a defense mechanism to keep guys' hands off of me. So, when you're cracking jokes, it turns off a guy. So it was like, we didn't have the Me Too movement where we could not that I would have gone to anyone, but we didn't have that. So we had to just fend for ourselves. But I also never took meetings in guys' hotel rooms.
Good.
Like that's like what I'm saying that is like all these women are like, oh, this guy was hitting on me. Like, well, you took a reading about this years later, you guys took meetings. Really? You know why you were there. So
Yeah.
shut up, bitch. Oh, sorry. Did I say that? No, I do. I know that there's some hairy times that I almost got into and I had to kind of run. And these were in legit offices. But I think you have to be a bright person and know if you're not sure of something, take a friend. And if don't ever meet in a hotel room, or like just be ready to bolt and do not be in a hotel room. So I guess some of it may still go on, but obviously not as much because everybody started coming out, thank God.
Yeah, seriously, blowing that whistle, and you should, because that's terrible what they used to do, and still do.
But maybe it's a little too far, though. Maybe it is in that I grew up with being able to flirt and tell people on the set they were pretty, whether it be a boy or a girl. And I feel, and I'm going to bring that back. Believe me, I don't care. I'm old enough now. I don't give a flying if it's politically correct, because I think we've taken some of the fun out of dating and right, not that anybody dates anymore, but the fun out of dating and flirting. And I think we can go a little bit back the other direct, not all the way, not handsy.
No, but not walking on eggshells. Yeah.
Not so scared that you can't tell someone that they're attractive or you look great today. Like that's just really.
There's nothing wrong with a compliment.
I miss being whistled out at construction sites, but I think I just aged out of that. I whistle at them now. I'm like, ooh, hot baby, ooh, those buns. So anyway, I'm bringing back funny because I think, it's gotten so political. Like I watch Saturday Night Live and there's such talent on there, but I'm so, I mean, I don't want to hear about the president. I don't want to. I don't want to. It's funny enough when you watch it on the news, whatever side anybody's on. I mean, or it's sad enough, really. So I want funny. I just want out and out funny. I mean, it can be like, we're going to do some making fun of things that are obviously politically correct, like my body, my choice. And we're going to go, yeah, my body, my choice. My girls are showing their boobs. And
Sure.
I don't mean completely, but I want Up All Night to be what little boys and little girls watch for the outfits, and they like the sexy girls too, and the good looking boys ahead on the show. And I think, why shouldn't young men have that, that fun look at some attractive people without it being a no-no?
100%. Totally agree with you. So, being a co-star and making various on-screen appearances in classic movies and TV shows and stuff like that, how did you make the transition to Up All Night and hosting with comedy legend Gilbert Gottfried?
Oh my God, our first show is dedicated to Gilbert.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm so excited about that. And I had interviewed him right during COVID for it was like a little I interviewed hundreds of people. I should have turned it into a podcast. I didn't.
Yeah, you totally could.
I probably could. I actually could use the content for sure, though. Some of the content, because I was good friends with Judy Tenuta, who passed away, and a few people that I had on the show passed away, including Gilbert. But I will definitely use that interview or pieces of that interview and in our tribute to Gil. But anyway, how I got it was I was with a management, Dick Clark Management, actually, and one of my managers had heard that they were looking for this new guest, that they had Caroline Schlitt, who had been on there a year and a half. And I watched the show a couple of times, and I thought she was really good, but I mean, she was actually more today's humor than even back then. I mean, I think she was just this dry, sarcastic, pretty girl humor. But for some reason, I mean, I don't know, people recast for whatever reasons, and USA Network wanted a different vision in their mind. Thought she was very bright. But anyway, that's my opinion. I mean, I certainly wasn't going to not go out for the job because I liked the way the host acted. But so I went out for the job along with about 200 other women. And like I said, I went over the top. And because I was doing stand-up comedy back at that point. I started in the early 80s. I had a boyfriend that was a stand-up comic who'd done the Tonight Show 21 times. And I love comedy. I started in comedy improv, had a partner. And so I started doing solo comedy. And I kept telling, you're too sexy, you're too pretty to do comedy. And I'm like, I'm going to do it on my own terms. And eventually I headlined and did all that. But I was so tired of hearing that I was too this or too ethnic, blah, 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 all this, that I finally went, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do, if I'm too sexy and USA Network wants sexy, I'm going over the top. So I wore this spandex dress cut really low. I plugged in my blow dryer, started blowing out my hair. I was just like this crazy character. And it took 3 months. I didn't hear anything. And then they called and they went, yeah, we want you.
And that's it.
So that was it. And so I created in my kitchen with my first director. I had like 7 directors through the whole thing. USA Network kept changing. They didn't change their mind about me, but they kept changing their mind in the direction of producers and directors. And I don't know why. I always thought the show was great from day one, although different takes on it through the years. But I came up with the All Night because I always thought a hook, a catchphrase was always just something that makes people remember the show. And the whole object of USA Network back then was they had this library of films. So I had no control over what they showed or not. And back then they were considered to be schlock films. So it wasn't the love of the genre as much as it is now. So I think that whatever would keep the kids or young people that are the people buying Snapple and Mars bars and Budweiser beer or whatever those commercials were back then, would keep them tuned into the commercials. Keep, that the film would run, and then Gilbert and he was on Saturday, I was on Friday, would then do some sketches for funny or talk about the film, and that would keep them tuned in. And they wanted sexy, I think, because they had Gilbert and he had a specific kind of humor, which was awesome. And me, they wanted this over the top. LA, he was very New York and I was very LA. And that was the difference they wanted. And I think we really delivered that through the years. So I really had fun. I created this character, helped write, or at least came up with material and different ideas. And we did over like 430 shows. So it's a lot of episodes. And I have most of them because part of my contract was they had to give me a VHS. And so USA Network literally erased their masters for the tape stock.
Really? That's insane.
And I mean, okay, I have mine, but to lose Gilbert, oh my God, like many hours of precious Gilbert material. So I know each director probably kept a few episodes, but probably not. I mean, I don't think anybody has the whole library like I do. I don't have the films. I did have the films, not that I could have done anything with the films, but Kings of Horror is going to do some special content, and like we're subscription, like you just hit subscribe and you can just watch our show for free. But if you want to watch special content, they're going to go ahead and license some of these films and put back in my dialogue and cut the films from yesteryear.
That's fantastic. So they're going to revamp all the old episodes. That I love that so much.
Not all, but whatever they can license, they'll do that. So because I have the episodes and it's in good condition, and we've been putting it on YouTube and keep preserving it through the years. So I think that's really exciting. I think people will really love that. And I heard this whole resurgence in VHSs, like new VHSs.
This is all behind me on the sides. And yeah, I buy new VHS too.
But do you have an old VHS machine, or do you have a new VHS?
I have a ton of old off screen. I have a ton of old vintage stuff. I have a tube TV, which you're actually on right now. If people are watching the episode, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that we are putting out some of my stand-up comedy, putting it together into a vinyl, into an album.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
I think that's really exciting. And then we used to play around and do some Halloween shows pre us rebooting this. I have another producer here, and he and I have been playing around and doing stuff for years. So he put a lot of those shows together and made a Halloween special along with some Up All Night footage. So we're going to sell that as a VHS. Yeah, the merchandise is going to be a hoot. I'm also working with Fright Rags for T-shirts and doing some of our own things. So, I mean, you can go to Rhonda Shear Up All Night and get some things now that we have up there. So that's fun because we do have to monetize the show so we can pay actors.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally hear you. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people who watch our show are going to want to buy that VHS too. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just really cool. And so we are with Kings of Horror, and well, I'll wait until you ask me. You might want to ask me that.
We're gonna do a big thing at the end.
Okay, good.
So I want to jump back to USA real quick. And, when USA made the decision to shift to a broader scope of programming, especially in a landscape where, the Sci-Fi Channel was out, Comedy Central was out, and you have all these genre-specific channels cropping up, even Cartoon Network in there too. So when they decided to cancel the show, I mean, were there any other offers for you to go to another station and host a different show on maybe one of those channels?
I did do a lot because I was on there for 8 years. So, they were loyal to their people, and the show just got canceled because it was a change of ownership of the network. And so they canceled a lot of shows, sadly enough. But anyway, I did do things like on the Sci-Fi Network. I did this little interstitial show where I played, what was the name of that character? I married an alien for his money. I was human, he was not, but I can't remember my character's name. But we have some of that up, and we will have that as some really fun stuff. So we did this little interstitial show for the Sci-Fi Network. I did Latin America Up All Night, where I spoke in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so that was really funny. And for some reason, they loved me.
I wanted to ask you about that because I was like, you did the whole show in Spanish?
I did do the whole show in Spanish. It was horrible. It was insane. And then they wanted me to go down to South America for something, and I didn't go. And then they hired another, not for the whole show, but just for the Spanish version. And then it only lasted another year. But for some reason, I did really well down there, and they were really upset that I didn't go. I guess it was my really bad Spanish that they liked. It just worked, and it was so over the top ditzy. And I mean, the Up All Night character I did was fun and smart, but I think that the one I did in Spanish really came off ditzy because I couldn't speak. And so it was very simple. I mean, it was pretty simple dialogue. But anyway, it was fun. And we have some of those shows too. And then I did Weird Science. And then the Weird Science kids came on our show. Then I didn't do La Femme Nikita. What was the other one that was sexy?
Silk Stockings.
Silk Stockings. I did couple of really sexy scenes in Silk Stockings. I feel like it was sexier than anything else I did. No, it was terrible. Like I had to wear moleskin on my nipples. I mean, it was like almost like a naked scene almost. And so you have to look for that. So our little show and the forerunner to us, which was Night Flight, I guess, our shows paid for a lot of those shows. I mean, we were a cash cow for that network. The executives would ask me to go out with them to meet with Budweiser and these people. I mean, like usually you don't bring your celebrities or your stars to meetings with the advertisers, but they did. I mean, I guess I've always been an entrepreneurial kind of person. So, and that really worked for us too. I mean, they really did end up doing like these big sweepstakes and things on the show. So that was good. And then Duckman, I was on Duckman, and so that crossed over. They were really good. Then I did a ton of a ton of wrestling stuff for them because they were involved with WWF, and they aired all the WWF shows. So I would go and I would do their shows and promote their wrestlers, and then they would come on my show. And, it's like the crossover was great. And then I did WrestleMania 10, which was great with Burt Reynolds, and did some sketches and stuff. So USA was actually there were a lot of synergy there between their shows. They would use their guest stars to drop into other shows, which I think was really smart. And then they had Duckman lead into Up All Night, which was really cool for a while. It was a great lead in, I thought.
I remember when Duckman dropped, and we were talking before we started recording about when I used to watch Up All Night when I was a kid, and that was like right in the pocket there. So I remember when Duckman premiered.
Right? Yeah, I bet it was like it was closer to the later shows. The show did move to New York because USA Network shut their doors down. They were trying to save money, and they shut their doors down in LA, which is beautiful offices back then in Century City, and so they're like, "Do you want to go to LA, New York?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I don't want to lose my job." So I didn't move to New York, but we'd go out there and bank 4 shows at a time. So before we would literally tape every week. We would never down, never down. I mean, I missed a lot of Christmases and birthdays and everything, but no doubt the New York shows I would go in, shoot for, and then a month at a time. So I got to work with Gilbert's producer, who was just so cruel to me. He's a very smart guy, though. We're good friends today, but he'd have me dressing up as he had me doing Gilbert stuff. I mean, it was not the all night that people remember, which we're bringing back more of that feeling, the early '90s with a slice of today, of course.
Absolutely. You talked about doing stand-up, and you're a comedian, straight up. So with your roots in comedy and being a stand-up performer, how do you think comedy and being a comedian has changed, like in general, and especially being a woman as well?
Well, I hope it's swinging back. I mean, there's definitely, and I've been very involved with my own business in the last 2 decades. So I don't know all the young comics like I used to know everybody, but every now and then I'll tune in, and people are still funny. Funny's funny. What bothered me is it got so politically correct that all of a sudden, like Jerry Seinfeld was talking about, I can't work colleges because you can't say this and that. And so, I mean, colleges, we all made a lot of money working the college circuit back in the day. And I know it got so politically correct that, all of a sudden, if you say I mean, I never did politics in my stand up. It was more just self observational. But I know that really hurt a lot of people. I feel like the pendulum could be swinging back a little bit, which would be really great. That's what I hear.
Yeah, just a little. It needs to go back a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit. It needs to go back to middle at least. If you don't want to go see a show, fine, but don't like, ooh, I mean, I grew up with like the Don Rickles and Joan Rivers, like
And I grew up with Eddie Murphy, you know what I mean? It was the same kind of thing.
the same thing. None of these shows from even your young era would make it today. They'd be like pulled off the air. But I think it's crazy. But I understand not being sensitive to people's ethnic background, but I also feel like but I also feel like you can make fun of yourself. Like I'm self-deprecating, and and my husband's Cajun, and he makes fun of the whole Cajun, So it's okay for you. I mean, I understand it's hard when someone else, but I think you can still play in that. Maybe not as tough as Rickles, but I think it's okay. Anyway, that's my take on it. I don't know if it's easier for women to get to the stage than it was really hard during my era because I had to, oh my gosh, it was like so hard. Everybody was like, you have to look a certain way to be funny and no makeup and you can't wear short skirts and all that. And so finally I started like asking club owners, would they let me bring on a bunch of girls like on Monday night when the clubs were like either closed or very small audiences. And I actually ended up booking Women of Comedy, Rhonda's Women of Comedy, and it was very cool. I'm telling you, I was always very entrepreneurial, and it was just for me to get stage time, and a lot of other women too, just to get on stage because they wouldn't let the women on. So now I find there's some really beautiful young women that I turn on the TV and see in their short skirts and they're well built. And I mean, you could not do that during my era. So I still think it's probably harder for women to get out there, but I think that once they do prove themselves, they're not as critical on looks and on being sexy or too pretty. So that's good. I mean, I feel that. It still may be harder for those women to get laughs because there's something about comedy in general. They always said, in a family, the man's usually the one that's messing with the kids. He's the father. He's playing with them. He's giving them noogies to it's the mother has the higher voice, a softer voice. She's the one who's disciplining the children. So it's kind of like we're conditioned that the woman is the caregiver and the guy's the one that can be the roughhouser with the kids. So I think it's just a human conditioning that women, are not supposed to be funny. They're supposed to be caregivers. So I think it's just, but I think that we've come a long way. And I know when I do get up on stage and I'm like, I'm not writing. You have to stay up to date, or you have to write all the time to be a comic. And I feel like you have to write yourself. I don't see how anybody else can write for you, but every now and then I'm pushed onto a stage and I get up there and you can't get me off. I'm like, I love it. I love stand up, and I did it for many years, 26 years, and until we got into a business. And what happened is I reunited with my junior high school sweetheart. It was right after Up All Night, and so I wrote a book about finding love after 40, changing careers, like totally become an entrepreneur. We won all kinds of entrepreneurial awards with the Rhonda Shear Intimate line, Rhonda Shear Intimates.
What's the book called?
It's actually called Up All Night: From Hollywood Bombshell to Lingerie Mogul, Life Lessons from an Accidental Feminist, long title.
Excellent.
And I may write about another one because now it's really full circle. I mean, I stopped when we got into the business, but I think it'd be really fun to go back at some point, especially if this takes off, and I know it will, about following your dreams to the point where you can actually come back later in life and work again and then help other young people. Like, it's really cool. Like, this is like a second childhood for me. I mean, I'm really excited. I love my line, and I continue to go on Home Shopping Network, and we sell in Australia and the UK and all over the world. And we have a beautiful line, but we also this is like feeding my soul.
That's excellent. I want to talk a little bit about that too, because everybody knows you for the movies and the TV, and but you like you said, you dove headfirst into the entrepreneurial journey of designing women's intimate wear. And in 2011, you were event chair and sponsor for the American Cancer Society's Making Strides put on your pink bra event. So I want to know, like, how did that event change your outlook on what you were creating and influence your continuing work for not only cancer research, but also women empowerment?
Well, it's really interesting. But as my husband and I got into the business, it just kind of went hand in hand to help. Especially we started from ground zero, below ground zero. We were not in a great place financially when we started, and we kept just putting our own money, which wasn't a lot, back into ourselves and back into ourselves. And we produced an infomercial that exploded and put a big spotlight on our brand for a bra called the Ah
The
Bra,
ah
which is
bra.
still
I watched the
like
commercial
what?
today.
Yes, it's one of the I think it's like still the best-selling bra in the world. We sold like over 35 million units very many years ago. We still continue to sell that bra, along with thousands of other products. But that's like the one that put a big light on us. But I think it was a natural relationship then to give back to breast cancer because so many women loved our products either after breast cancer or after having, you know. A mastectomy or just even having a lumpectomy or whatever, or surgery. So I'm hearing from all these women, and I didn't create my bra to be a medical bra, but they found it and they were like, oh my God, this bra really helps me. I love this bra. So that's what happened. It was like all these women finding it and loving it that made me want to reach out more to women. So I had all the men during my up all night years. Now I have this wonderful fans that are women for different reasons. And I love that. So then we got into a lot of different charity organizations that we ended up sponsoring, having big events even at our home. And one was Go Red for Heart, because heart problems and troubles in my family, and it runs in my family. And women don't know they're having a heart attack as readily as men. Like they don't have the same signs usually. Like not all guys have it, but usually it is a massive pain that they feel. Women may just have like indigestion or a jaw may hurt or something like they may just feel off or feel nervous and weird. So I was a chairperson of that, and so that was very cool to get that word out and also learn for myself. So we enjoy giving back. We still support a lot of things. I also got involved with the SPCA and was the chairperson of that event because I've got dogs and I love them, and I've rescued some. I've bought a few, but they're my heartbeats. So I don't have biological children, so these guys are my heartbeats for sure. But anyway, so we love giving back, and that's something that comes along with business. And we won something called Ernst and Young, which is a big deal to win Entrepreneur of the Year for Florida, and something kind of cool. So I went to the national, we represented Florida as Entrepreneur of the Year. So we go to the national, and Chobani Yogurt won that year, which was very cool. But Jay Leno was hosting, and I knew Jay from the club scene, and also had a boyfriend that did the Tonight Show 21 times, and knew Jay from hanging out with Bobby and Bobby Kelton. So, it's like, okay, that's really cool. He's hosting. I want to go backstage and say hello to Jay. Hey, because I'm not winning. So he probably won't get to know that I'm here. He probably knew I was there. But anyway, I made my way backstage because I'm like, what are you doing? This is like a huge convention center in Orlando. And I'm like, I'm a comic. I know how to get through the kitchen. I'll get to him. And that's what I did with all the, I got back there, and I only had a couple of minutes because he was in and out of going on stage. And about a week later, he calls me. I get this call. I was standing in the middle of my grocery store, and it's NBC. And he's like, I just want to congratulate you still on the air then, because I feel bad that I didn't get to talk to you that night or spend time with you. And I'm so proud of what you have done with your career and with your life, instead of just still knocking on doors or still, doing the clubs like so many of my friends are still doing. Like, you have really made a success. So it was just very nice. So what's really nice is that, yes, up on all night comes at a time now where I don't need it to pay the bills. Like it did pay the bills back in the day. Of course, we want to monetize it, because the more we make on production, the bigger the production can be. Because my husband and I are producing it. We own a production company. So what's really cool, this did not happen because of the show. We had two big buildings. One houses Rhonda Shear Intimates, and it's our design center and our office and warehousing. The other was a pure warehouse, but then we started using another partner to ship and warehouse. So we didn't need this big building, and we didn't want to lease it, and we didn't know what to do with it. So my husband and I have always thought that the west coast of Florida could use another studio, like sound stage. So we've been working on that, and then this comes along almost at exactly the same time that we're finishing it up.
Serendipitous. Fantastic.
It's insane. And it's for podcasters, influencers. It's 20,000 square feet. It's a really nice size. It's got loading docks. I mean, you can put cars in there or whatever. We could do film, TV. I mean, it's not like a Hollywood studio, but it's a huge studio for all things. And really beautiful, just beautiful showers and makeup area, and it has just a kitchen. No, it's got it all. So they built a studio that looks very reminiscent of my first, which you probably weren't watching them, but my first shows in the '90s, which was a bedroom set. Very reminiscent, except we added a window.
I have seen them, but I wasn't alive when they broadcast, or I wasn't watching when they broadcast, rather.
Right, you were really a baby.
I was real baby.
really a baby crawling around.
My old man was probably watching it though, and my mother for
Oh,
sure.
I'm telling you, I've heard so many stories of that. Like, oh, my old man's watching it. That's how I started watching. I'm like, oh my god, now I'm watching it under the sheets. I've heard so many crazy stories of people watching that.
My mother's a huge horror fan. That's who got me into horror.
Oh,
So
I love that.
she was always watching, you and Joe Bob and all that stuff. So it was good stuff. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's really cool. That is.
So with that being said, so how did the revival of Up All Night come about, and was hosting something you had previously wanted to return to?
Well, definitely did. Like I said, my own little team here that does like B footage for our line and shoots models, and we produce. I mean, they've done films and TV too, but I have like a little in-house group. We started, one of them's got my sense of humor. He graduated from Loyola 10 years after me in New Orleans, and we would just like do all kinds of crazy stuff with local actors just for ourselves and put it up on YouTube and blah 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 blah. And so Jean May and I were talking a long time, and we actually did a couple of shows. Like we did one from Frank and Con, and it was our version, on the fly version, and another one from a set in our new studio, but not well lit or anything, and not real well planned out. But it gave us hope, right? We're like, wow, with the right people, like a director and lighting, and then we really build a set out and the sound and everything and cast. Like this could be really good. And then I'm at this FrankenCon, which is in Knoxville, and Patrick Farmer comes up to my table. Joe Bob's next to me with a line around the corner, and I'm like, wow, I could have been doing this all these years if I would have kept my brand going, but just didn't have time. We're building a business. So anyway, so he comes up and he says, you ever thought about doing Up All Night? And I'm like, we have thought about doing it. And he goes, I said, we're actually playing around with it. He goes, well, maybe if you guys do it, we could, collaborate, and we can put it on our channel, which has 1.5 million subscribers already. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be amazing. I didn't think a lot of it because you hear from so many people that come up to you at shows, and I've been down this road before. So it was like, okay, that's cool. But anyway, Patrick reached out, and then he introduced us to his boss, Richard, who we're meeting for dinner later on. And Richard he's legit, man. He owns a film distribution company. They do a few things, but film distribution with like 14,000 titles, and if they don't have a title, they'll actually go after it for you. So I did not have control over USA Network. Not that I have control over Kings of Horror, but I can say, do you have this film? Do you have this film? Can you get this film? Can you try to license this film? And they'll try to license it. That is really cool, because then I have like more control over the films, and young filmmakers like yourself. We are looking to showcase young filmmakers. We are looking to have, film premieres and the B movie awards. We did that once on USA Network,
Yeah,
and it was fabulous.
yeah, that's
So
fantastic.
we are looking to exactly that, and I think that we'll discover a lot of talent, and I think we will lift them up and give them. And that's the one thing I'm going to do is shamelessly promote people. I mean, we actually came up with that yesterday. We were kind of just blocking a little bit on the set with my director, and I said we need to shamelessly promote, because I have not Joe Bob Briggs. Well, we'll have Joe Bob Briggs hopefully down the line. But right now I have John Brennan, who came to us from Joe Bob Briggs, or it was on Joe Bob Briggs, but now he's going to be a regular on our show, and our musical director with Yuki. And then I'm going to have Felisa Rose via Our Magic Heart, and Linnea Quigley. They're so amazing. So yeah, and that's what we'll do is we'll bring people in, via the Magic Heart. Which will be part of the script. It's not going to just be me going, oh, well, let's have an interview. I mean, it will fit into the show. But if we can't get people in, or we can't fly them in, or whatever, at least we can have them dropping in as like little surprises. So people will look out for that. And then I will give, because I don't have the knowledge of some of the horror films, because I haven't been doing this for a couple of decades, I will learn with my fans on some of the new ones that I've never seen, and showcase some of those directors and actors from those films too. And I'll have little factoids along with, a special guest, like a gal named Lenora from Midnight Movie Rentals. Do you know
Oh,
Lenora?
yeah. I know Lenora. Yeah.
So she's going to drop in and be a regular on the show.
Oh, she's awesome too. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, well, she really knows her stuff and has been doing it, and I commend her. So we're gonna have those young, cool people that drop in and say things, and and I'm sure I will get very much back into it as I continue to watch the new films that I've not
Yeah,
seen.
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it actually is exciting. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a lot of sleepless nights again. I used to watch all the films from USA Network, but it's back. And I think the genre is actually back more than, I don't know. I feel like you kids, your generation missed out on a lot of the stuff that we had, the Walkmans and all the physical stuff, like the
I had a
VHSs.
Walkman as a kid. I grew up with
You
VHS.
did.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
right in the middle, right? I was right when computers starting. You know what I mean? Personal
Okay.
computers.
Well,
Yeah,
you got that. But definitely there's kids that didn't have that. And I mean, they miss that tangible
100%.
holding and feeling. So I think, for them to go, to the conventions is really cool and see the people that they see on video. I think doing these watch parties, like, so we're live to tape. Admittedly, we're on tape, but we'll all be watching and commenting the night it airs, the nights that it airs live with everyone to feel like it's a communal watching. So I think that's really cool.
That's such a fun thing. That's such a
I
fun
think
thing.
that's really cool because that's also my way to hear what they want to see and watch. It's my way of learning. I listen.
100%. And like not only to watch Rhonda Shear, but to hang out with Rhonda Shear and talk to her as the
So
show's
cool.
going. I mean, that's really cool. So
Thank
that's
you.
great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's really cool for me. I mean, I know when I met, I was a big fan of the sitcoms like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and things like that are on the Nostalgia channel. I mean, the same people that are on Kings of Horror have a Nostalgia channel and a comedy channel. But um, so when I met Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie, I thought I was going to faint. I mean, I had interviewed so many stars through the years. The stars I interviewed on Up All Night, when hundreds and hundreds of major stars. But when I interviewed someone who was my childhood idol, I was like, So I know that, and I don't take that lightly, and I'm honored to have. My young men and women, and hopefully they'll be bringing their kids and their grandkids back around, and a whole new generation that wasn't born yet at all will tune in and find fun, levity, some sexy, some double entendre. We're not going to make it dirty, but we'll be, right there, a little there, but not, it's going to be where if someone else picked it up for a channel, we wouldn't have to go back and really edit anything out. Because YouTube has guidelines too that we have to follow as well.
We know all about that. Having our own channel. Um,
Right.
so what makes the revival of Up All Night different from its previous incarnation, and what can we expect to see from the new season?
Well, I think what you'll see is some smart, like little anecdotes about the films. Um, Unlike Joe Bob Briggs, who writes everything himself, which he's brilliant, all things horror, it'll be more leaning into the comedy sketch side. But you're going to see a lot of factoids, like from Lenora. You're going to see like directors of the films, producers of the films. Me, I'm going to be looking stuff up on my computer and tuning in too. I am. That's going to be like a little bit that I'm going to do. I'm going to be very authentic with my audience. I'm not going to say I know something if I don't. I feel like people know when you're lying. So I'm not going to go, oh, I know all that. That's just not true. Comedy is my bag. And hopefully, that's what I'll be able to deliver along with learning about the films in real time with everybody else after watching them with my eyes half closed. And but I want to deliver some fun, some escapism, some like, except I'll be on Saturday nights instead of back in the day when I was on Friday. But I think it'll be good that, when Joe Bob Briggs is on, he's on Friday nights, and hopefully we'll be complimentary to him and Svengoolie and all the horror hosts, even the local ones. I think it's just going to just make this world even bigger and richer. And I'm excited about it. And again, smart comedy and you're going to see a lot of the Scream Queens. I'm going to embrace getting those girls on and guys and wrestling. I'm looking forward to doing a wrestling show. Nick Nemeth has promised he'll do one, so I'm reaching out to him because I think that's a big crossover is wrestling and horror. I don't know why, but they are.
Absolutely. They usually go hand in hand. Every horror guy I know likes wrestling, or every wrestling guy I know likes
I
horror. So there
know
you
they
go.
love horror. So I mean, Nick Nemeth was a fan of mine, and RJ City wants to come do the show. So I think that'll be one of our early shows. So what we're doing is we're delivering 3 holiday shows. October 25th at 10 p.m. Eastern will be our first Halloween, and then November 22nd will be our Thanksgiving, and it's going to be Scream Queen School. And script is very funny. How to be a scream queen, and we've got a couple of major scream queens that are teaching the class along with me, and we'll have Sean Donahue and John Brennan again as the judges. It's going to be fun. And then we have a Christmas show that's going to run December the 20th, and that's like Santa is a good boy, but his elves are naughty. And so we're going to have some naughty elves and some pretty women and a couple surprise guests for that too. So, and then we go into a regular rotation of every other week. So we are in regular business now. So we're going to be doing a lot of shows.
That's incredible. I think all this sounds fantastic. I love that you're putting a big emphasis on the independent community as well as the horror community. And you're not just doing horror. You're doing.
Get the word out there, please.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure when this premieres, this video, who's ever watching this on our channel, is going to dump you right into Up All Night, the premiere of Up All Night. So stick around.
Cool.
So as soon as this ends, it's going to go right into that. So just hang out.
Yeah, that's a sweet. We're very excited, but I like embracing also the fact that Kings of Horror is like kind of like it was in basic cable when I first started Up All Night, that they are letting us experiment a little bit. So they have a cartoon on there called Meet the Cleavers. So I do a voice in their Halloween show, but then I'm going to become a regular cougar, but half cougar and half human, half were cougar. And I'm
I
going
love
to
that.
eat young men. So I love that. So that will probably lead into our show, because I thought a cartoon, even though it's a horror cartoon, is like good to lead into our show instead of a horror movie into horror movies. And hopefully we'll be doing a cooking show for them too. A lot of fun. Like I think we're going to have a lot of experimental content and things that you can't do on a regular channel. You can't say, "Hey, I want to do this." So they're like, "Sure." Like I love Patrick. I mean, at least he's telling me that now. I'm like, "Sure, let's do that." I'm like, "Okay, I'm holding you to that. I'm holding you to that."
That's so great that you have some more control over the content that you're making and creating, and kind of being able to create in a space where not the sky's the limit, but more open, without not too many boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just, that is like YouTube. And there was a whole article, I don't know, it was in the Hollywood Reporter, about that YouTube, move over TV, because YouTube has everything you want and then more. And I think a lot of people are already going to YouTube for content. So I think it's like kind of that early days of syndication, where you go back and you want to find something. Like you can go back and find nostalgia. You can go back and find, a stand-up comedy maybe from back in the day. So I think you maybe be able to find some of those Don Rickles shows that are politically incorrect. So I think that's cool. There's so much out there, and it's a big world. So I'm really excited to be part of it, and I'm excited to be doing this tomorrow and be on live YouTube making comments with everybody.
Well, absolutely best of luck. I'm sure everything is going to go off without a hitch. It's going to be awesome, and
Thanks, Joe.
we're going to be there for it, and we can't wait. We're going to tell everybody that we know, and have everybody show up for it, and let the revival of Up All Night come back with a big boom.
That's what it is, honey. It is a revival.
Yeah. Praise the Lord. It's Up All Night.
Yay. Say yay. It is Up All Night.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and hanging out. And hopefully we'll see you soon. And again, best of luck.
Thanks, Joe.
Rhonda Shear's Up All Night premieres this Saturday at 10 p.m. exclusively on the Kings of Horror Network. If you're watching live on YouTube right now, don't touch that dial, because we're going to be sending you right to the pre-show of a brand new episode of Meet the Carvers, followed by the world premiere of Rhonda Shear's Up All Night. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you there.